Hey everybody. So I'm live and here we are with another week of figuring out some tips on how to make your marriage a marriage that you're thrilled to be a part of. I'm Jenny Acord. I'm a marriage coach. I am a wife and I am somebody that believes that your marriage can be something that creates the most meaningful part of your life. And so today we want to talk about what happens and what impacts most couples in their life. And really, it's the cost of living on autopilot. Because what we don't think about is that when we're just going about life, doing the regular, normal things that we do, schedules, the busyness of life, our kids, work, our family, and we're checking off all the boxes, and we're not paying attention to what's actually happening in our marriage relationship, then we can be at the end of what a marriage on autopilot feels like. And autopilot is so dangerous because it doesn't look like a bad marriage. It is actually that thing that I just talked about, how couples are just going about life, living on their, doing their daily routines, and disconnection starts to happen. It might look good on the outside where everybody thinks it's fine, but on the inside, underneath the surface, and I'm always talking about there's so much more to the story. Make sure that you understand what's under the surface. And if what's under the surface is two couples living separate lives, disconnection slowly happens. You stop being intentional and how's your heart? That's one of the things that Rick and I have really tried to shift our attention to, not what are we doing today or what's on the schedule this week, but really how you doing? How are you feeling today as we start the day or as we end our day? And just doing a heart check, connecting emotionally with each other, making sure that we're being intentional about what it looks like to be us. Because when we stop asking those questions and we're only asking, well, what do we need to get things done? We stop losing connection. And that's the with autopilot. It's the silent killer of connection. So today we're going to talk about recognizing autopilot, why it happens, and how to begin creating a marriage that feels alive. It feels alive. I know I do. I don't want to just be checking off the boxes and doing the right thing. I want to be thrilled to be a part of this thing we call marriage, because there was a season in our marriage where Rick and I were doing all of the things. Our life was full. And honestly, we were doing a lot of really good things, serving God in the church, showing up for people, taking care of our kids. It was really important for us to build a family that our kids knew that we were there for them. And so we ended up swinging to that other side of really focusing on our kids and losing sight of what's really important in our life, which is our marriage. We spent so much time doing the things that we thought were really important, we lost sight of the most important thing. Because couples, we don't drift because we don't care. We drift because so many things that there are out there that we care about start pulling our attention, and we forget to protect the one thing that is the most important, and that's our marriage. We learned that over the years that connection, it doesn't just happen, right? It's something, if we're not careful, we can spend our time building our life, and we can forget to build the relationship inside of our life. And that's the hidden cost of autopilot. So what do we want to identify? There's three things I want to give you. I'm always going to try and give you three things that you can pay attention to, take note of, the red flags along the way, that if autopilot is happening, how would we know it? Because here's the thing, autopilot can feel safe. It can keep us steady and headed, like maintaining direction. But if we haven't chosen the direction, right? If we don't know where we're headed, we can end up someplace that we never intended to be. So that's the trouble with autopilot. Well, then you said, okay, so what are these three things that we could look for that might identify we're on autopilot in our marriage? Number one, you lose curiosity. And curiosity is a big deal, in my opinion, because curiosity keeps us from getting stuck. When we think that we know everything there is to know about our spouse, we know how they're going to answer this, we know what they're going to do or how they're going to respond in a certain situation, then we lose this idea or this feeling of curiosity. We stop discovering what it's been like to be our spouse, or they stop discovering what it's like to be us. So we say, I know what it's been like for them. I know why they do those things, and it keeps us stuck. And I've talked about curiosity versus judgment, but judgment is that place that keeps us from really learning more to the story because I already know the story. Curiosity opens up a pathway, if you will, to connection, to starting to understand more of the story, because you are not the same as when you first got married, and neither is your spouse. And you want to pay attention to what those new things are about each other. It's what keeps marriage alive. It's what keeps our relationship from getting boring, is this art of curiosity, of discovering one another and learning about each other under the surface in our marriage. Number two, what is the thing that kills connection? We lose friendship. When we're on autopilot, we start losing our friendship, right? So friendship is really important because when you got married, you were probably friends, right? You started out enjoying each other's company, deciding that this was going to be something that we really wanted to build on and be a part of. And when we stop losing that sense of friendship, we start drifting apart. We're not laughing together. We're not talking or sharing our dreams. And so we stop really wanting to share time together. Somewhere along the way, many couples replace friendship with function. We replace friendship with function. We start managing a household. We start just accomplishing goals or doing the things that need to get done. We put our mindset into how can we do instead of how can we just be? Can we enjoy each other in our company? And so it's really important that we don't lose that sense of friendship. Dr. John Gottman has done research on some things that influence couples and the relationship that they have. And he found that the number one identifying factor in marriages that are full of satisfaction is friendship. That tells me it's pretty important. How can we build on our friendship? Because if we've lost sight of that, if we're not being curious, if we're not building on our friendship, we're probably drifting and we might be on autopilot. Now, there's a third piece that we may be losing, and that's vision. Have you lost sight of the vision that God's called you to? Do you have this kind of sense that we're not really sure what we're doing together? Because this is the biggest one. Because couples who stop dreaming together start living separate lives. Couples who stop dreaming together start living separate lives. Not intentionally. No, we never set out to have this happen, but it just happens over time because things start drawing our attention and we lose sight of what's really important. One person has dreams, the other person has dreams, and then we start living for ourselves or for what we want, and we lose sight of the team. What has God called us to do together? Maybe that's supporting each other in what we're working toward as an individual, that one spouse can come alongside and say, I support you, I'm with you, I'm in this with you, and being a part of that. But there's also a part of the story where both of us have a calling to do something together. There's a reason he called you together. And that's why in my elite marriage method, it's the first thing that we do. We want to really get clear on where we're headed. Clarity is that first step before we talk about communication or building healthy habits or what it looks like to have skills to connect, we really want to figure out where we're headed. What's this look like for us as a team? What's the vision that we have for our marriage and what God has called? Because if we get clear on that, on who we are, on what matters most, then the kind of marriage that we're building is going to be, it's going to inform how we build that marriage, right? Where we're headed is going to inform what kind of skills we need, what kind of communication we want to build on. All of those things are going to give us a chance to be intentional about building the habits that create purpose and lasting impact in your marriage. So I want to give you a simple exercise this week to do. You're going to need to take 15 minutes with your spouse. Set aside your phones, no distractions. Do this after the kids are in bed, whatever. Find 15 minutes where the two of you can just really lean into each other. And there's 3 things I want you to do that are going to address this lack of vision, lack of friendship, and lack of curiosity. Right? So here they are. I'm going to have you ask these 3 questions. Number 1, what's been taking most of your time lately or attention? Like, where have we been focusing on in our daily life? Where have we been putting a lot of attention? Number 2, are we spending our energy on what matters the most? Are we distracted by other things? Are we spending our time on what matters the most? And 3, what is one thing, I'm going to say it again, one thing that we want to be more intentional about in our marriage? Because I don't want you to try and fix everything, because that's where you're going to get stuck. Just pick one thing and start focusing on building that one thing together. Do this without judgment and really apply this posture of curiosity so that you can learn about what's been distracting you. Are there ways that we've been kind of drifting apart from one another, so we can be intentional about moving toward one another and building connection and lasting change? Here's what I want you to remember. Your marriage doesn't need to be perfect to be powerful. And we all know none of us are perfect. So we're not really trying to build a perfect marriage here. We're trying to build an intentional marriage. One that we don't wait for crisis. We don't wait for crisis to reconnect. My heart is that I would give you an opportunity to start building a healthy marriage before you get to crisis mode, so that you can be intentional before you start falling apart. You can choose today to start building again, because great marriages don't happen by accident. They are built intentionally. Your marriage is a message. Let's make it one worth echoing. If today made you stop and think, hey, you know what? Maybe we're living on autopilot. I want you to invite you to take the next step and apply for a marriage vision call. I put the link in the chat. It's also in the comments below. During this private conversation, you and I are going to look at your marriage today and see where you want it to be. And then we're going to decide whether or not the elite marriage method is the right fit for you and your relationship. If not, I'll give you other resources and send you in a direction that's going to help you for where you are today. I intentionally only work with a small number of couples because each couple receives the coaching, accountability, and support that they need to experience real transformation in their marriage. I would love to talk to you. Sign up on the link below, apply for a marriage vision call, and I'll see you next week. Until next time, I'm Jenny Acord, a marriage coach, and I'm rooting for you, and I'm so proud of you.